Most people are living their life as a background character. They go through the motions every single day. No urgency, no mission, and they follow the default path. They go to school, they get a job, they repeat, without ever questioning whether that's actually the story they want to be living. They let the outside world make their decisions for them, and they accept the cards that they've been dealt with without realizing how much control they actually have. Now, I was that person for a long time. After I finished university, I had no North Star, no mission, no direction, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But I had this path that was laid out for me, which I followed. I went to school, I went to university, then I got a job after uni. And I followed this path because I was anxious about the future. And I didn't believe that I could follow a different path. I didn't believe that I could be who I wanted to be in the world. I thought I had to follow the system. I thought I had to do what everyone else did because that seemed like the safe bet. It's what everyone else is doing, so why wouldn't I do that myself? And I never challenged the status quo. I never challenged that at all. The shift happened when I started to treat my life like its own story. Like I was the main character of my life. Because I looked at the story that I was living right now and it was a boring one. It was one that was mundane, same routine, doing the same things every single day. No one would have watched it. So I asked myself a question, and I saw this on a podcast on Joe Rogan. If a camera crew was following you around every single day, would it be a story or a film or a documentary that someone would tune into? And I knew the answer was no. It was so boring. Why would anyone tune into my life of me going to work for 8 hours, coming home, taking no risks, not challenging myself, not going on enough adventure? It's a boring story. So from then on, I started to try and live my life more as a story. I tried to have more adventure. I take more risks, challenge myself when I should try and level up as a person, like a main character would. And here's what I learned. Every main character at the beginning, they start imperfect. They start out uncertain. They don't know what to do. And they have to figure that out through the journey, through the story. And that's the beginning of a great story. That's where that's where the story becomes compelling, is when the main character experiences a lot of hardship at the beginning, but then has this mission, goes through the mission, and then comes out the other side as a better version of themselves. And they've gone through all the challenges of life and have come out on the other side. And the hero's journey always has three things. You look at any story, and the first thing is the mission. What's the North Star? What are they aiming for? The second is the adversity, the challenges, the obstacles they come across on the journey in the story. And then the third part is overcoming the obstacles and going even though they don't want to and they want to quit. For me, the adversity has been very difficult, and that's why the story has been so fun to be part of. When I first finished university, wasn't very confident in myself. I believed that I couldn't do anything. I was anxious a lot of the time. I was just a bit of a mess. And then I had no job prospects either. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life after university. But I made the decision that if I want my life to be exciting and I want to live the most fulfilling life and have no regrets, I need to start taking this stance of being a main character. And what that meant was I would start taking more risks. I would start taking more challenges, putting myself in more uncomfortable situations. Because again, I knew the story that I was living at the moment was not exciting and a very boring one. And through this whole story, there's been many times of adversity when I went broke. I was in debt, had no money. I was living out in my mum's house when I was 26 years old. And that was part of the story. I moved to Liverpool and I lived with some crackhead students for 6 months. That was part of the story. It's part of the story arc. There were so many times when I took a risk and I faced a lot of adversity. And because in my mind I had a camera crew following me, or I had this story that I was building, I couldn't let this challenge or this obstacle get in the way of the mission and the greater reason of why I was doing this. And I had so many times where I had no months of progress and I questioned and I doubted myself a lot. Is this even worth doing? Is this even going to work? And looking back, that was the best part of the story. Not making 10, 15K months, being in my bedroom at my mum's house, going broke, being in debt, that was all part of the story. Because when I then came to Southeast Asia and I was traveling and I was making the money that I want, it made everything seem so much more fulfilling because of all the adversity and the story that I had to go on to get there. The main character, it doesn't wait until it feels ready. It just starts taking action regardless, and then starts figuring out the path as they walk it. Because the story doesn't begin once everything's perfect. It begins the moment you decide to start taking action. So if you're watching this video and you're wondering how you can start changing your life to become the main character and start moving towards the goals that you have for yourself and a mission, I want you to do these things today, which I think will be really helpful for you. Number one is get very clear on what that mission is, what you want to achieve. Everyone's definition of success is very different. So what does your definition of success look like? Is it being able to travel? Is it making a certain amount of money? Get very clear on what you want and why you want it. And then start to write down the person that you need to become to be able to go out and achieve this mission that you've set out for yourself. Do I need to be more confident? Do I need to be more disciplined? Do I have to show up to the world in a better way? Do I need to be kinder to myself and other people? Write down all the characteristics that are important for you to go out and achieve this mission, and start living that identity as someone. When I first started on this journey, on this mission, I would write down the person that I wanted to become, and I would read it every single day, this internal and external vision I had of my life and myself. And I started to embody a lot of the characteristics, and then slowly over time I became that person. So get very clear on that main character, write it down, and look at it every day and go back to it when you are in doubt and you're not sure that you are on the right path. Come back to it and read it, and then just start. Look at your mission and break it down. What do I need to do today to move me closer to that ideal person? And that could be going for a workout, could be going to the gym, or it could be reaching out to 10, 20 potential clients. Whatever it is, do that one thing that's going to move you closer, because that will start to build up momentum. But one thing that you can do that is really good for the story is take risks. In a story and someone takes a huge risk or a gamble, it makes the story so much more exciting to watch. And when you're living that story as the main character and you take a huge risk, for example, me coming out to Southeast Asia when I didn't really have much money and I was just trying to make it, was way more exciting than me just sat at home in my bedroom just working on a computer. I think taking the risk, taking the path that is least traveled is usually the most exciting path to take. I'm sat in Thailand right now filming this video. I've just started a YouTube channel, and I'm still on this story that I've created for myself. And so far it's been exciting. There's been many different chapters to it. I wouldn't have been on this story, in this part of my life, if I didn't think that I was the main character, and if I didn't take risks as if someone that was in a story. So I'm still figuring out what comes next. And honestly, it's exciting because over the last 2 or 3 years, my life has been unpredictable because I've decided to take this approach to my life where I'm leaning into more risk and more uncertainty, because that's where the excitement is, that's where the stories are, and that's going to create a life that's going to be worth looking back on in the next 20, 30 years. And I'm excited now because not because I have everything figured out, but I'm excited to see what's next. Because I genuinely believe that as you walk the path, it becomes clear on what you want to do. As long as you're moving in the right direction and you're creating an exciting story for yourself, then things will happen. And that's available to you. It's available to anyone who decides to take that jump and take that risk. The only question is whether you decide that you actually want to become the main character or not. And that's down to you.